Good morning from Nicosia, Cyprus. It is 7:30 on this Monday morning. Today we are going to talk about an exclusive report coming out of the UK saying that there are 3 British soldiers trapped in the Azovstal steel factory. We will talk about the fact that Ukraine is running out of fuel. Let's talk also about some statements from NATO Secretary General Stoltenberg with regards to the Ukraine-Russia conflict. And we'll also talk about how the EU is capitulating with their gas for rubles, with the gas for rubles payment policy. And we'll finish it off with the clown world. And this clown world will once again be about Eurovision and how the vote from Romania was rigged to support Ukraine. This is an interesting clown world. So let's begin with this exclusive. And this exclusive is coming from the Daily Express, or the Express UK. I'm not sure by which name they go by, express.co.uk. And the title of their article reads, Ukraine exclusive, British fighters trapped in Mariupol steelworks in last stand. They keep on throwing around this word last stand, like if these soldiers are defeated, Mariupol will fall. That's why they use the word last stand, when Mariupol is already under Russian control. Things are opening up and there's reconstruction, all being supervised by Russia. And this steel factory is just kind of, the Russians are just surrounding it. They're just kind of hanging out in a wait and see moment. They're just kind of surrounding this steel factory and they're just waiting for the guys to come out. But the way the mainstream media phrases it, the last stand, like these Azovstal fighters are preventing Russia from taking the city of Mariupol. It's really the wordplay that they use, the manipulation. Anyway, this article from the express.co.uk is an exclusive, and it says this. It says, of those who are trapped in Azovstal, of those, at least 3 are former British soldiers with previous combat experience in Afghanistan. 2 are former infantry corporals, while the 3rd is said to be a former combat medic. He is thought to have his hands full helping to treat another 600 fighters who have been wounded during this constant barrage of Russian assaults over the last 10 weeks. Many of these have received serious, life-changing wounds and cannot receive proper medical treatment. The former soldiers were among the 1,000 or so British veterans who volunteered to help Ukraine forces following the February 24th invasion by Russian forces. Their presence in the besieged city was revealed last night by another former British soldier who joined the so-called International Brigade in Donetsk before being injured and evacuated to Lviv for treatment. Quote, all 3 lads in the steelworks served with the British Army. I know two have seen service in Afghanistan, but like me, they were surprised at the intensity of the conflict, said the 34-year-old veteran who served as a corporal with the rifles. We traveled together just before the war started with the aim of joining the Ukrainians in the east, but they were sent to the south and reinforced the Azov regiment. He added, I was with a couple of Canadians and did not hear from them again until March when I received a text saying they had ended up in a steel factory in Mariupol. They told me there was another Brit who was badly injured in the factory and who had been fighting in eastern Ukraine since 2014. Last month, I had a few more texts, and from what they said, the conditions were terrible, but very well organized. They had food and water, but their biggest concern was ammunition. He also added, this soldier who's giving this account added that the Chechens have been offered bounties by Russian commanders for any captured or killed Brits. They see Boris Johnson as the #1 figure of hate, and they are desperate to hit back at the UK for the help it has given to Ukraine. I believe there are British soldiers in the Azovstal. no doubt about that. I believe there are Canadian soldiers. Actually, allegedly, one Canadian general is right now in Moscow spilling the beans about what NATO is up to in Azovstal. But I'm also very, very skeptical about this exclusive from express.co.uk, because as you go through the article, and I'll put a link to the article down below, as you go through the article, it's not so much about painting a picture of the fact that 3 British soldiers are stuck in Azovstal and the UK government has to get them out. The picture that they're painting is that these soldiers are making a last stand to protect Mariupol, and that the Chechens and the Russians, they've put a bounty on British soldiers' heads, and they want to embarrass, they want to humiliate Boris Johnson. And that's what this is all about. That's the narrative of this exclusive. It's not so much a report that, there's 3 British soldiers there. This is how they got there. This is what we have to do to get them out. They're mercenaries. They were paid. They're not professional soldiers. They went to Ukraine, under their own will, without the UK telling them to go there, the UK government, and now they're trapped. The story is actually more about how Chechens have a bounty on British soldiers' heads. And to me, it feels like the express.co.uk is setting up the narrative for some sort of media manipulation. I don't know. That's the way I was. When I read this article, I was like, this article doesn't seem so concerned with the British soldiers. It seems more concerned with painting this story about how the Chechens and the Russians are going after the British now. And they're trying to humiliate Boris Johnson. That seemed to be the angle of the story. But anyway, I will put a link down below. You can read it and let me know what you think in the comments. So that's what's going on in Azovstal. By the way, we also have the wives of these Azovstal military guys. Supposedly some of them are traveling to Turkey, and they're trying to get Turkey involved, and Turkey has said they can evacuate everybody. Some of the wives are coming out and they're saying that Zelensky has abandoned the soldiers. Meanwhile, the Russians are just sitting back and they're just kind of like, why don't you guys come out? Just freaking come out. So the whole Azovstal thing continues, and eventually, I guess we'll get to some sort of resolution. But Turkey is really keen on trying to evacuate the whatever's stuck in Azovstal. So it's really interesting to see Turkey really take an active role in this. I wonder what's hiding down there and why Turkey is so interested in getting to these catacombs, getting down there and getting whatever's in there out. So that's what's going on there with this article from the express.co.uk, and a really quick update with regards to Azovstal. And let's shift gears now and talk about what's going on in Ukraine with regards to fuel shortages. So we have another oil refinery that has been taken out by a Russian cruise missile. This refinery was in an area called Kremenchuk, I believe is the name of this area where this refinery was located. The Dryzen report has a good write-up on it, on what's going on. I'll put a link to that down below as well. But what basically happened is that there are 3 large refineries in Ukraine that provide most of the fuel for everybody, for the military, but most importantly for the people. And Russia has taken out pretty much all of these refineries. They've taken out the one in Odessa, they've taken out the one in Lysychansk, and now they took out the one in Kremenchuk. And that pretty much means that Ukraine has a few more days of fuel left for the military as well as for the people. And we're seeing that reflected in huge lines in Nikolaev, in Odessa, of cars just lined up for miles and miles, waiting to get whatever rationed petrol, gas they can get. And Ukraine doesn't have many options to get fuel to the military at this point. Never mind the people that aren't going to have fuel to move around and to go about their daily business. I want to cross the street here. The issue is going to be for the military so that they can keep this war going. And the only way that they're going to be able to get fuel to the front lines is if they move the fuel now from Poland and Slovakia. The problem with moving the fuel via rail from Poland and Slovakia is that the railroad tracks are a different configuration. And so it's going to be super difficult to get the fuel up to the border, Poland and Slovakia, to get it there, and then to offload the fuel, unload the fuel, switch it over to different railway tracks, and then move that fuel to where it needs to go. And it's going to be a massive undertaking. And then that's all with the assumption that the Russians don't do anything to blow apart the fuel that's moving from the west to the center and to the east of Ukraine. So it's a terrible situation for the people of Ukraine. It's a bad situation for the military and for the Zelensky regime. But the reports are coming out that with this refinery being blown apart, you only have a few more days, a week, 2 weeks at best of fuel left. So that's what's going on in Ukraine, and you won't see this reported in the mainstream media because they want to keep the narrative alive that Ukraine can win this thing. And that takes me to what Mr. Stoltenberg, the Secretary General for NATO, said in comments he made yesterday. And this is coming on the news that Finland and Sweden have pretty much made their formal requests to join NATO. I think Finland has already submitted whatever paperwork you need to submit, and I think that Sweden is in the process, or whichever way, Finland, Sweden, whichever way is, whichever country put in the paperwork first, it doesn't matter. They're both pretty much getting into NATO around the same time. And Stoltenberg said this. Let me get his quote real quick here. Mr. Jan Stoltenberg, who pretty much is like, the guy's like a broken record. He just parrots the same lines over and over again, the same scripts. This is what he said. Speaking to reporters after the informal meetings of the military bloc's foreign ministers, Stoltenberg revealed that the main topics of the discussion were strong support for Ukraine, the further strengthening of NATO's deterrence and defense, and the longer-term implications of the war, including the alliance's further stance towards Russia. Then Stoltenberg said, Russia's war in Ukraine is not going as Moscow had planned. They failed to take Kiev. They are pulling back from around Kharkiv. Their major offensive in the Donbass has stalled. Russia is not achieving its strategic objectives. Stoltenberg then said that contrary to the alleged wishes of the Russian President Vladimir Putin, Ukraine continues its fight. NATO is stronger than ever, and the US and Europe are solidly united. He always says that line, always. NATO is stronger than ever, and NATO is united. Mr. Stoltenberg, how is the war going for Russia? NATO is stronger than ever, and it is solidly united. Mr. Stoltenberg, what do you think of Finland and Sweden entering NATO? NATO is strongly united and is stronger than ever and solidly united. Mr. Stoltenberg, what did you have for breakfast? NATO is stronger than ever and solidly united. I mean, he throws that line out there all the freaking time. Maybe maybe NATO should invest in a new scriptwriter. Just a thought. So he also said that the war is not going to plan. He's still stuck on Kiev. He's stuck on the fact that the Russians didn't take Kiev, as if the Russians were going to be able to take a city of 3 million people with 40,000 troops. I don't know what kind of military advice Stoltenberg is getting. He's talking about Kharkiv and this ridiculous narrative being pushed out by the Biden scriptwriters and the UK PR firms on behalf of the Zelensky regime, that Ukraine is marching through Kharkiv all the way to the Russian border and they're going to soon invade Russia. That's a ridiculous narrative. Actually, we're getting reports now that that it was all just a feint, and the Russians now are starting to shell those Ukraine forces in and around Kharkiv. And it's not even a meaningful battle. It doesn't really mean anything in the grand scheme of what's going on in Donbass, which is the important battle happening in Donbass. So Stoltenberg is stuck on this Kharkiv thing, and he talks about how Russia is not moving as fast as the NATO generals would like Russia to move, or the DC generals believe Russia should be moving. And that's not Russia's plan. They're there to grind down the Ukraine military. That's what they're there for. Remember, Russia's goal is demilitarization and denazification. They don't want to roll over Ukraine. They don't want to destroy the infrastructure. They don't want to bomb the cities and level all the cities and all the villages. They want to demilitarize, and that is exactly what they are doing, because the reports are that hundreds of Ukraine soldiers are just being annihilated from never-ending artillery, Russian artillery. So I'm not sure where Stoltenberg is getting his military briefings from. Either Stoltenberg is stupid and he just doesn't know what the hell's going on. Either he's getting wrong advice from his military advisors, and he's too lazy to get to the truth, or he's peddling lies knowingly in order to mislead the population, the people. So whichever one it is, either way, Stoltenberg is unfit for the job that he's in place right now to do. But given the fact that he's so incompetent, there's one lesson that we all know with regards to NATO, the European Union, collective West politicians, and that is that the more incompetent you are, the higher you get promoted. So I'm sure that given Stoltenberg's misinformation, lies, incompetence, whatever you want to use to chalk up his ignorance as to what's going on in Ukraine, he's going to get promoted up. He's going to get promoted up, no doubt about it. So that's what's going on there with Stoltenberg. Olaf Scholz, by the way, the German chancellor, came out with statements saying that he's not upset at the Ukraine ambassador in Germany for calling him a sulky liver sausage, or I even forgot what the hell did they even call him. But he came out with statements as well, and he said, look, no hard feelings. But he also said that he's not planning to visit Kiev in the near term just yet. So he's not going to go visit Zelensky and bow down to King Zelensky just yet. But he said there's no hard feelings with the fact that the Ukraine ambassador in Germany completely ridiculed and mocked him. That just shows you what a chump and what a weakling Olaf Scholz is. He's no leader. He is no leader at all. And that'll bring me to the final story before we get to Clown World. And we'll talk about the gas for rubles. And this is great. This should be the Clown World. But the EU, what they've said now is that companies, European companies that want to purchase gas from Russia that it's okay for them to do so, and it doesn't violate the sanctions policy, as long as the companies, when they make their deposit of euros and dollars into Gazprom Bank, they put out a statement and declaration saying that the transaction for the gas is complete. Do you get that? They have to put out a statement when they deposit their euros or dollars saying, we consider this transaction complete. And when they put out that statement, the EU considers that this is not a violation of sanctions. The payment's not complete when the Russians take those foreign currencies and they exchange them for rubles, and then those rubles are used to pay for the gas, and then Russia delivers the gas. That's not when the transaction is complete. According to the EU, they're not violating sanctions as long as the companies that pay for the gas put out a specific statement saying that the transaction is complete when they make the deposit in euros and dollars. That's when the transaction is complete. Everything else that happens after that, like actually getting your product delivered to you, that has nothing to do with the transaction. That's meaningless. What a pathetic capitulation from the European Union. What a pathetic capitulation. So, saying that, and what does that tell you? The fact that the EU has to do all of this, all of these stupid little things in order to justify their payment for the gas, so that it doesn't violate their little sanctions policy. What does that tell you about the EU? It just tells you how petty they are. It really does. And what a bunch of liars they are. And also the fact that they need the Russian gas, that they can't escape the fact that they need the gas. They've tried everything and they just can't work it out. And so they came out with this little scheme. It says it all. The gas for rubles plan worked. It worked perfectly. And the fact that the EU is doing this is so embarrassing to the EU. It really is embarrassing that they have to come out with these little schemes to justify the fact that they're paying for the gas in rubles. Just admit it, European Union, just admit it. You need the gas. You can't escape the fact that your economies will collapse without Russian gas, and you're just going to pay for that gas in accordance with the Russian government's terms. Just admit it, instead of coming up with these ridiculous, stupid, and pathetic excuses. So anyway, let's get to a clown world. Let's walk closer to my final destination, which will be a coffee shop, so I can edit this video. And let's get to a clown world. And the clown world has to deal with Eurovision. And we already know that Ukraine won the Eurovision Song Contest. Big surprise. Everyone knew that Ukraine was going to be given the victory. I could have represented Ukraine, and I have a terrible voice, by the way. As far as a singing voice, it's awful. And I could have gone on stage and belted out a couple of tunes, and I would have won Eurovision if I represented Ukraine. That's how rigged the whole thing was. But we have the news coming out of Romania that not only was this rigged, but boy, was it rigged. I mean, rigged in a really blatant and bad way. Because in Eurovision, what usually happens is that countries vote in blocks. So like Greece will always give their 12 points, which is the highest point value. They'll always give their 12 points to Cyprus. And Cyprus will always give their 12 points to Greece. Doesn't matter what the song is or the artist, they don't care. They vote in blocks, right? Or let me think of another example. I don't know, say for example, Denmark and Norway, or Denmark and Sweden, or something like that, where they'll always give their 12 points to say Sweden, and Sweden will always give their 12 points to Norway. And you see blocks are formed in Eurovision when voting is concerned. You know, Latvia gives it to Lithuania. Lithuania always gives their top votes to Latvia, and that's natural. It's just a part of Eurovision. Everyone expects it to happen. It's not like a big surprise. And one of the voting blocks is Romania and Moldova. And Romania always gives their 12 points to Moldova, and Moldova always gives their 12 points to Romania. Standard procedure, right? Everyone always looks to see where are the 10 points going to, where are the 8 points going to. Everyone knows where the 12 points are going to. That's not a big surprise. But in this instance, Romania gave their 12 points to Moldova, as was expected, and they were going to give their 10 points to Ukraine, as they were instructed to do. But in this case, there was technical difficulties as Romania was going to announce their vote, and everyone knew it was going to go to Moldova. But surprise, surprise, it went to Ukraine. The 12 points went to Ukraine. And they cited technical difficulties, and from what I understand, they couldn't even broadcast the vote announcement. I don't know, is that true? People watching from Romania? Because usually they'll have the point announcement live on TV. Supposedly, it's a live broadcast, and some celebrity comes out and they say, our 12 points from Romania go to Moldova, and you know that's how the whole show is run. But in this instance, there were technical difficulties. Romania couldn't get onto the broadcast. The Romanian celebrity who was going to announce the points wasn't able to get onto the Eurovision show and announce who their 12 points was going to. And they just said 12 points go to Ukraine, when in fact those 12 points were really meant for Moldova. And that's the clown world. The fact that they had to rig Eurovision so much. I mean, Ukraine was going to win either way, whether they got the 12 points or the 10 points from Romania. It wasn't going to make a difference. But they had to rig it so much, and they had to make sure that every country without exception gave their 12 points to Ukraine, that they couldn't accept the fact that Romania was going to actually give their 12 points, as they do every year, to Moldova, and then give their 10 points to Ukraine. That's fine. But they had to make sure that everyone was in lockstep and gave their 12 points to Ukraine, because that's the message. That's what they want everyone to see, that every country in Europe is united. They're all united in and around Ukraine, so much so that the 12 points, the first spot of their vote, is going to go to Ukraine no matter what, even if it means they have to cheat and rig it. And that's exactly what they did in Romania's case. So the EU is rigging and playing around with the terminology for gas for rubles. You have Eurovision playing around with the voting process in their song contest. And I guess you had two clown worlds today. So with that said, I will leave the video there. theduran.locals.com. Everybody, check out Alexander's channel. He actually talks about the ridiculous gas for rubles capitulation from the European Union. And the Duran channel. The Duran channel, where we're doing live streams all the time and putting out all kinds of great videos. That is it for me here in Nicosia, Cyprus. I am going to grab a coffee. I'm going to edit this video and get it up. I will talk to everybody soon.